Woman! Woman!
Why did Steve McQueen once say, "Anything I ever did wrong, I paid for while filming the Sand Pebbles"? It's a bold statement, one that sparks curiosity about what could have made this film so challenging. Sure, the Sand Pebbles became a major success, earning 8 Oscar nominations and solidifying McQueen as one of Hollywood's biggest stars. But behind the scenes, it was a different story, one full of grueling conditions, clashes between cast and crew, and a production process that seemed cursed from the start. By the time it was all over, McQueen had been through the ringer, leaving him with a vivid sense of retribution for his past mistakes. But what exactly happened on that set? And what's the deeper meaning behind the movie's intriguing title? Let's dive in. Released in 1966, The Sand Pebbles tells the story of Jake Holman, played by McQueen, a Navy machinist assigned to a rundown gunboat called the USS San Pablo. The ship patrols China's Yangtze River in the 1920s, a time of political chaos, as the country struggled with warlord rule and nationalist uprisings. The sailors, who call themselves the Sand Pebbles, represent a microcosm of imperialist attitudes, clashing cultures, and personal struggles. McQueen's character is an outsider from the start, a man who cares more about machines than people and constantly questions authority. But his arrival upends the fragile balance on the ship, setting off a chain of conflicts that spiral out of control as tensions in China boil over. The cast was as impressive as the film's ambitious story. Alongside McQueen were Richard Attenborough as Frenchie, the lovable sailor with a tragic romantic subplot, Richard Crenna as Captain Collins, torn between duty and survival, and Candice Bergen as Shirley Eckert, a young school teacher caught in the chaos. Directed by Robert Wise, who had just won Oscars for The Sound of Music, the movie was adapted from Richard McKenna's best-selling novel of the same name. McKenna, a former sailor, based the book on his own experiences in the Navy, giving the story an authenticity that Wise was determined to capture. But making the film was anything but smooth sailing. It began with years of delays. The rights to McKenna's novel passed from studio to studio before 20th Century Fox finally gave Wise the green light. Casting was another hurdle. Paul Newman was the first choice for Jake Holman, but he turned it down. Wise eventually settled on McQueen, who had become a star after The Great Escape. McQueen's salary of $650,000 was record-breaking at the time, and he was given a percentage of the profits, a sign of how much Fox believed in the project. Filming began in late 1965 in Taiwan and Hong Kong, with additional scenes shot in Hollywood. The production faced one disaster after another. There were rainstorms, unbearable heat, and even an earthquake. A 15-foot camera boat capsized, destroying expensive equipment. A hotel fire left cast and crew shaken. And at one point, Taiwanese officials held onto the crew's passports over a tax dispute, forcing the studio to pay up. The grueling 7-month shoot took a toll on everyone, but especially McQueen. Performing many of his own stunts, including a harrowing battle sequence where the San Pablo rams through a barricade of Chinese junks, McQueen pushed himself to his physical limits. The ship itself was a star of the film. Built in Hong Kong at a cost of $250,000, the USS San Pablo was a fully functioning replica of a Spanish-American war gunboat. Maintaining it was no small feat, and its diesel engines were rigged to produce black smoke using burning tires and trash. The ship became the centerpiece of the film, a symbol of the sailors' isolation and the futility of their mission. Off-screen, tensions simmered. McQueen's clashes with Wise over how scenes should be filmed often delayed production. Meanwhile, his relationship with Candice Bergen was famously frosty. When McQueen advised her to loosen up by dating one of his stunt buddies, Bergen avoided him altogether, preferring the company of Richard Attenborough and his wife. McQueen's intensity also extended to screenwriter Robert Anderson, who left the project early, reportedly because of friction with the actor. Despite these challenges, the film delivered some unforgettable moments. Po-han, played by Mako, provides one of the story's most heart-wrenching scenes. When his character is captured and tortured by an angry mob, McQueen's Holman defies orders to shoot him and end his suffering. It's a powerful moment that highlights the film's moral complexity, where duty, loyalty, and humanity collide in devastating ways. Then there's Frenchie's tragic love story with Mei Li, a young Chinese woman he marries to rescue her from exploitation. Their relationship, tender and doomed, becomes a microcosm of the broader cultural misunderstandings and power imbalances at play. The film doesn't shy away from tough themes like racism, imperialism, and the brutality of war, which may explain why some critics drew parallels to the Vietnam War, even though McKenna's novel was written long before that conflict escalated. So, what about the title? The sailors' nickname for themselves, the Sand Pebbles, holds a deeper meaning. On the surface, it's just a playful moniker for the crew of the San Pablo, but it also symbolizes their place in the world, small, rough, and constantly worn down by the forces around them. Much like Holman, the crew is caught in a grinding system they can't escape, whether it's the Navy's rigid hierarchy or the violent upheaval sweeping through China. This simple nickname encapsulates the central theme of the film: individuals trying to find purpose and dignity in a world that often seems indifferent to both. By the end of the production, McQueen was physically and emotionally drained. When he returned to the US, he kissed the ground and took a year off from acting to recover. Reflecting on the experience later, he famously said, "Anything I ever did wrong, I paid for while filming the Sand Pebbles." For McQueen, the film was more than a role. It was a grueling journey that tested his limits in every way. Ultimately, the Sand Pebbles stands as a testament to the perseverance of its cast and crew. It's an epic film that combines sweeping visuals with deeply human stories, made all the more powerful by the sacrifices it took to bring it to life. And for McQueen, it cemented his legacy not just as a Hollywood star, but as an actor willing to give everything to his craft, no matter the cost. Now it's time to hear from you. What's your take on Steve McQueen's grueling experience during the Sand Pebbles? Do you think it added depth to his performance, or was it too high a price to pay? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below.